And here you see real-world data being mapped into a virtual model in near real time. Normally, you'll see planes around an airport on a radar screen, as in the left here, which is not really a great view of where they are. You can see in 2 dimensions, but not a 3rd dimension. So when you take that same data and you put it into a virtual world, the experience changes greatly. Now you can walk around amongst these planes. You can reach out and virtually touch them and get more information about them, like their flight number and their altitude and their ETA and ETD, things like that. So, and in addition, you can overlay them over a map, which gives you some bearing. But now you've got altitude, and you can immerse yourself in the middle of the flight path and see where the planes are in relationship to them. Compare that again to the view of the radar screen at the left, and you can see that this is a much better experience. It's more intuitive, and this technique of modeling real data from the real world into a virtual world can work with anything that can be put on the net. So anything on that collection side that has spatial context can then be mapped into a virtual model and give you a better idea of where it is. And then we have a virtual command center out here that's spot on built for us. And this is probably most interesting. So let's look inside the command center here. And as you can see, they've done a nice job of making it look like what you'd see in the real world. And that is the point, to try to make this as immersive and as close to real as possible. So let's go walk into the command center here. The first thing you might notice is there's an access control panel on the wall next to the door. And if we had a real life panel, we could then click on this virtual model and take a look at the data associated with that real world panel that we're modeling. Now we're going to do that to show you what it would look like. This is just mocked up data, but there's an example of how you can very quickly get at some data, real world data hopefully, that's associated with that panel that's modeled in the virtual world. So we don't just want virtual environments, we want models of real environments where we can reflect real data, and that's what makes this useful. So let's walk into the command center now, and again, let's see how much we can make this immersive. And thanks again to Spot On for doing a great job here. As you'll see, it really does feel like we've created a workstation within that real command center. And when I take a seat at my workstation here, it really does give you the feeling that you're immersed in that environment. And again, this is a service that Spot On 3D provided for me. It had been really hard for me to build this myself, but they made it easy, and that's part of the point of service-based offerings. We have a little moment for our sponsor on the left here, but in the middle here we have a typical security video. You have a red car that's and multiple frames of that video tiled out, and we have a bounding box generated by some analytic, and so we got an alert on this red car. There it is. Let's take a look at the video, and you can see what that alert's about. And as a monitor, you'd say, yes, we need to send out a dispatcher to that. So we'll click and we'll send a dispatcher. And that's what would happen in real life. But in the virtual world, we don't just have to dispatch somebody. We can actually go take a look at the virtual model of the environment. And here you see that red car with the bounding box around it. But now I can take a look at a 3rd dimension and say, oh, what's around this car? What's on the other side of the road that the video isn't showing me? Again, you want this modeled with real-world data, and the more data you have coming in, the richer the experience.